Today's topic is the present tense in German. Now, this may sound extremely simple, because you've been using the present tense for a long time now. But the present tense is sometimes used differently in German than it is in English. Specifically, you can use the present tense in German to describe not only current events, but also upcoming events or actions. First, just to get our feet on the ground, let's talk briefly about the present tense in English. In English, we have several forms of the present tense. One is the simple present, for instance, I walk to school. The other is the present progressive tense, for instance, I am walking to school. The simple present is used to make general present tense statements, especially of fact or of habit. The present progressive, however, is used to describe events that are being described at the exact moment they're happening. Compare these two statements. One is in the simple present, and the second is in the present progressive. Now, compare them to their German equivalents. If you look closely at the verbs in German, you'll notice that in the first sentence, we say it rains in English, and in the second we say it is raining, to indicate that that's happening right now. But look at what happens in German. The first sentence is Es regnet im Frühling, and the second one is Es regnet jetzt. The verb phrases were different in English because English has two different present tense forms. German, on the other hand, only has one present tense form. Es regnet will sometimes mean it rains, and it will sometimes mean it is raining. The meaning depends on the context. This can be very tricky for English speakers. We're accustomed to having a separate verb form when something is currently happening, and so English speakers will often try to say something like Es ist regnet or Es ist regnen in German. Neither of those work. Those are completely incorrect Englishisms in German. Here's where it gets even more interesting. In English, we sometimes use the simple present tense to describe upcoming scheduled events. For instance, the movie starts at 7 o'clock. But for general future events, we tend to use the future tense. We'd say something like, it will snow tonight, not it snows tonight. Or, it is going to rain tomorrow, instead of it rains tomorrow. However, in German, the present tense can be used for upcoming events as long as a time is specified. So in English, we would use the future tense where something hasn't been scheduled, even if we use a time, as in it will be hot next week, or it is going to be humid this evening, something like that, because that's not a scheduled event. However, when we do this in German, we can use the present tense for those upcoming events, and the only condition is that we need to put a time into that sentence. For instance, I could say, Es regnet heute Abend. It's going to rain this evening. Morgen ist es kalt. It will be cold tomorrow. Morgen Nachmittag ist es sonnig. Tomorrow afternoon it'll be sunny. Es schneit morgen Abend. Tomorrow evening it will snow. Übermorgen ist es schön und warm. It's going to be nice and warm the day after tomorrow. Or am Wochenende regnet es. It's going to rain on the weekend. English speakers find this very difficult, because we are used to having to put upcoming events, especially weather, in the future tense. So English speakers will often try to put a will or going to into a German sentence, and that is just plain wrong. By the way, this last one, es will regnen, is actually grammatically correct, but it means I want to rain, not it will rain. So that won't work either. Rather than messing with English-influenced verb forms, just use the plain old present tense form of the verb. Es regnet is all you need, as long as you specify the time as well. That said, if you're feeling adventurous, there is a way to make the future tense in German. It's not actually necessary for describing the weather, and you won't be required to know this until much later in your German career. But if you're feeling up to it, you can use various forms of the verb werden along with an infinitive verb at the end of the clause, almost as you would with a modal verb. Werden is an irregular verb, so here are the verb forms. You'll notice that the du form, du wirst, and the sie es form, wird, have both a vowel change and odd endings. Here's how werden looks in context. Ich werde morgen ins Kino gehen. I will go to the movies tomorrow. Es wird morgen regnen. It will rain tomorrow. Übermorgen wird es kalt sein. The day after tomorrow it will be cold. Am Wochenende wird es schneien. On the weekend it's going to snow. Nächsten Donnerstag wird es heiß sein. Next Thursday it's going to be hot. Now notice that there's an infinitive verb at the end of each sentence. Werden is your conjugated verb in second position, and so just like with the modal verb, the infinitive verb will go at the end. Now, this is great to use, but on the other hand, the future tense isn't actually grammatically necessary most of the time. Because each of these sentences specifies a time, they could also be written in the simple present tense and mean the exact same thing. In other words, ich werde morgen ins Kino gehen and ich gehe morgen ins Kino mean the same thing, so you can express that thought in either way you choose. Finally, let's review present and near future statements. In German, we can use the present tense for both current statements and upcoming events, as long as we specify when those upcoming actions will occur. Unlike in English, there is no present progressive tense for current actions, so you always need to say something like es regnet, not es ist regnen. Finally, if you feel ready to use the future tense, you can use a form of werden along with an infinitive verb, but this isn't actually grammatically necessary. You can just use the present tense with an upcoming time.